Welcome back to Thunder Bowl Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan. The Motown muscle deeply missed teammate Ryan Schaefer. Brian Kretzer filling in for Ryan. And our best wishes and thoughts and prayers with Ryan and his family at this time. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago at the Tournament of Champions the unexpected loss of Ryan's wife, and we all feel deeply for Ryan and his family.
Tragic, tragic. Very sad. And, you know, I've known Ryan Schaefer for over 30 years, and Ryan, we miss you, I miss you, and we love you, man.
Kretzer filling in for Ryan Schaefer, and he opens this trios game with a high hit and a 4-pin. And the difference here, Randy, is you finish your own frames. Take a look at our PBA League trios lineup. Kretzer will lead off. He'll ball the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th after this first frame. Lefty Mike Scroggins will take 2, 5, and 8. Tom Doherty will take frames 3, 6, and 9. So you finish your own frame.
Easy there.
Supposed to be curved right there, isn't there? Everybody else is on their curved strike balls.
Well, not so much on the left lane, Brian. That left lane is slick in the middle.
So a couple southpaws featured in this trios match for 1 point, and Scott Norton will work the left side of the lane for the Kingpins. Seven pin.
No. I didn't want to waste one on the first frame, though.
Looks like a pretty good shot to leave that weak 7. First look at southpaws in this matchup, Kingpins versus the Motown Muscle, but both teams sporting southpaws, as you mentioned.
All right.
All right, Jake, come on now. Shot here. Start us off, all right? Come on.
Here's New York City's lineup for trios.
Jake Peters now second to bowl for the Kingpins.
Light, just the 2-pin.
You know, it's tough when you're a player that's been sitting and watching, and you go over and warm up on the practice pair, and then you come over to the TV pair, and you only get a couple of practice shots. You're not really sure how the pair is broken down or how your bowling balls are going to react, and you better figure it out in 1 or 2 shots.
Jake Peters out of the great Wichita State program that has produced such great names as Sean Rash and Chris Barnes over the years. And Peters picks up the spare. 3 bowlers per team, and the player 1 will bowl, followed by player 2 and 3 will repeat. The leadoff player will bowl the 10th frame. And Mike Scroggins now will work the left side of the lane for the Motown Muscle.
And whenever there's a Mike Scroggins sighting, you know what's to follow. Party at Scroggins. There it is. It's good to see Mike back. I know he's been kind of battling some injuries and some health issues, but it's nice to see Mike Scroggins back. One of the nice guys out here. Boy, we've seen that form before. This guy was a human ATM machine for quite a few years out here before he got injured.
He dealt with some plantar fasciitis issues in his right foot before coming back. Now Tom Doherty's unique style. Look at that ball come back. Strike for Tom Doherty and Motown. So double for Motown gives them an 11-pin lead. We're tied at 1-1. Our first look at Stuart Williams, the British Beefcake, bowling for the Kingpins.
I just can't get over that nickname.
It's the initials, BBC. England Stuart Williams toes the line here in the 3rd. Similar line to Doherty, similar result.
Yeah, but that's the only similarity is because his rev rate's about half of what Doherty's is. But Stu Williams is one of the funniest, most clever guys you'll ever meet. Boy, is he witty. Pretty good bowler, too.
Hails from Liverpool, so he has that Liverpudlian cheekiness, no doubt.
Yeah, but he lives in Phoenix now.
You can't take the Liverpool out of him. Scott Norton, bowled in the first, back up in the fourth. Double up.
Come on, guys. Let's go. What now?
Norton's smile lights up the place, and that strike ball just lit up the pocket. And the Motown muscle lead is down to 1. Now Kretzer working on a couple of strikes here, 4th frame after he bowled the first. Rotating through in trios competition. Kretzer steps on it. Turkey.
Well, you know, the last time we saw Brian Kretzer throw it that straight, he won his first and only title out here. Brian not known for throwing it down and in, but he worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and finally broke through with a win, doing it again quite nicely there.
Brian, winner of the Go RVing Match Play Championship, he defeated Patrick Allen in a 3-game total pinfall match to earn his title. Back over to Scroggins. We've got striking shoes on here. 5th frame. Scroggy wiggles the 7.
And that's the tight left lane. Mike Scroggins struggles getting the ball up to the 1-2 pocket strong enough, and he leaves that weak 7. He takes out his Motown muscle plastic spare ball. Throw it straight and hard at the 7 pin.
So Scroggy fills the box in the 5th. Advantage over to the Kingpins now on the strike and the multiplying effect of the X in the box. As Jake Peters steps up now, a chance to even things up. In the event of a tie in this game, the point would be split evenly. Oh, no, a lot better. Horrible result. 7-10 split.
Well, he liked it off his hand, but the end result was awful. Another pocket 7-10 for NYC Kingpins. Check it out. Remember, this 7-10 split's only been converted 3 times in the history of television.
Gave it a run. The pins do jump out of the back in this facility. It's an open frame for New York City after the opportunity to tie things up. It now has them in a hole.
From the frying pan into the towering inferno. I mean, they had a chance to pull even, and now they're down 24 pins with 1 shot thrown, and it was all due to just a bad break. Stu Williams needs a strike here in the 6th to turn this ship around.
Williams' title came at the 2011 Bayer Viper Open at the World Series of Bowling. Defeated Ildemaro Ruiz. Strikes does Williams.
Stu Williams just opening up both the right and left lanes. Watch this ball, Ben. He's throwing the big curve ball. That ball starts at about 5th arrow on the left, out to about the 6th board and back. Snaps the 10 out. Hey, folks, stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk track flare. You see the rings of oil on those bowling balls? I'm going to tell you what that means. Lots more action to come your way here from Detroit. Stay with us.
PBA League returns to Thunderbolt Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan. New York City WTT Kingpins and the Motown Muscle in the middle of a quarterfinal. And let's talk track flare with Randy's Track Tech Talk.
Well, you can see the oil rings around the bowling ball. But back 30 years ago, you would only see 1 ring, because back then the balls we used, the core or the inside part of the bowling ball was very stable. But with today's high-powered bowling balls and dynamic cores, the inside of the ball is very unstable. The ball hits the lane, it tracks closest to the thumb hole. That's the initial line of oil. And then from there, the ball starts, or the track starts to flare. The reason why it flares is because the bowling ball is rotating and it's trying to find its most stable orientation. and that track will continue to flare until the ball hits the pins. The track flares onto a fresh surface of the bowling ball, creating hook and power.
So the ability to control that track flare is what makes the use of that ball the ball to go to in that situation. Is that correct?
The ability to control the track flare, or the amount of track flare, is based on the rev rate of the player, the strength of the bowling ball, the surface of the bowling ball, how the bowling ball is drilled, and the layout that you're using. That controls the track flare.
And here's somebody that can create track flare, as Doherty up. Not enough, though. 2-pin.
Yeah, that's where Tom Doherty could have used a little bit more flare, because that ball skated or scooted a little bit too far down the lane, came off the end of the pattern, and didn't grab the lane surface. The only thing that Tom needed there was just a little bit softer speed, and that ball would have hooked up into the pocket.
Doherty earned his PBA Tour title in 2012 with the Bowlers Journal Scorpion Championship at the World Series of Bowling. Picks up the spare for Motown. We're tied at 1-1 in this one-point trios game. 3-point team to follow.
I moved my eyes in. Fagan told me not to.
Kretzer steps up in the 7th frame, his 3rd crack in trios. Stepped out just a shade and a flat 10-pin.
Yeah, it looks like Brian's having some issues with the approach on that left lane, but it's still just a 10-pin and an easy single-pin spare. They're still up by 22 pins. Scott Norton getting up in the 7th frame. They're working on a strike. He needs to double up here for the Kingpins and get him back in this match.
Drills the pocket. Does Norton, and cuts the lead down to 12 pins. Carolyn Doran-Ballard, the WTT Kingpins manager, 3-time major women's titleist, 2-time women's bowler of the year, 5-time member of Team USA, USBC Hall of Famer, inducted in 2008, and wife of PBA Hall of Famer Del Ballard Jr. As the Ballards go head-to-head here, and their teams face off in this quarterfinal match in the PBA League. Splits the 8-9 to Jake Peters.
Well, if you want to know who the better bowler in the family is, if you go strictly off titles, Carolyn's got 22 titles. Dell's only got 13. But I'm just saying.
Now Scroggins up in the 8th frame. Motown up by 2. It's tied at 1 point here in trios. And on the other side of the aisle is PBA Hall of Famer, manager of the Motown Muscle, Del Ballard Jr. As Randy mentioned, 13 titles with 4 majors, inducted into the PBA Hall of Fame in 2009 and voted the 29th greatest player in PBA history in that same year. Doherty up from Motown with a 2-pin lead in the foundation frame. 10 back.
A little better. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, there's only one Pete Weber in the world, and he's 51. It's a shame that people don't remember just how great of a bowler Del Ballard Jr. was when he was in his prime on this tour. He was one of the best ever. And you don't win 4 majors not having any talent, and Del Ballard was about as good as they got out here.
Stuart Williams with a very important shot for New York City here in the foundation frame on a couple of strikes. Needs to put the pressure on Motown.
does it. I'm not sure Stu Williams shouldn't have been the anchor bowler for this team. I mean, he's been rock solid. He's thrown 3 shots. He's struck all 3 times. Now he's given the Kingpins a chance to win this game. Scott Norton needs to strike out for 245. That would leave the door open for Brian Kretzer. Brian Kretzer strikes out for Motown Muscle. They shoot 247.
So basically a mirror frame here in the 10th. Whatever Norton does, Kretzer will need to repeat. 10th frame. Bang! Drills the pocket for Norton.
One more shot puts all the pressure back on Brian Kretzer and Motown Muscle.
So that first hit forces a Motown strike in the 10th, and now with a double in the 10th, he can force Kretzer to throw 2 strikes as well.
Remember, the winner of this match advances. The loser is eliminated from competition.
Little distraction out in the audience, and Scott pulls up and will reset mentally. What's the reset process? To forget that and go right back?
Just go right back through your routine. You know, whatever your routine is, you repeat it.
Double to force Kretzer to do the same. 10th. And 7-pin stands.
That was a good shot considering he had to back off, but the ball just hits too softly and leaving another soft 7 on that left lane. Looked like a pretty good shot up until it hit the pins, and weak 7 still standing. Now Kretzer, the story's pretty simple. He needs to strike and 8 spare, and they'll win this match. They'll take a 2-1 lead going into the team event.
234 final for the defending Elias Cup champions.
I thought that one was.
So Kretzer steps up, must strike on the first shot, or the point goes to New York City.
Great shot by BK. Needs 8 spare. 9 out would win. 9 on the first ball. It's over. And we'll move on to the team event.
That's a winner. Motown picks up the point, goes up 2-1. 3 points remaining in our team game. 2 quality shots from Kretzer when they needed it most.
Really good. Really good there in the 10th frame. Brian Kretzer got it done. Good stuff.
Motown's going to give Loschetter a substitution here and a chance to throw one more shot on the pattern. And a 247 final. So Motown goes up 2-1. And let's take a look at the Barbasol close shave of the day. Brian Kretzer strikes to clinch the point for Motown. When we come back, team competition. 5 players will combine for 1 team score. The winner will advance in the PBA League. Stay tuned. More action coming next. PBA League continues at Thunderbolt Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan. New York City Kingpins against Motown Muscle. Detroit now up 2-1. And our team are warming up for the 3-point match coming up next. Next Sunday on ESPN at 3 Eastern, it's the final round of the United States Bowling Congress Masters Join us next Sunday at 3 Eastern on ESPN. Randy has the Geico Championship recap.
All right, Mike, Jay, thanks very much. Match number 1, Mike Fagan against PDW, Pete Weber. After Pete Weber goes back-to-back open frames with splits, Mike Fagan throws a split of his own. But guess what? Look at him slide the 3 into the 4-7 to convert. What a great shot. But it was all up to Pete Weber. Pete needs a double in the 10th frame to seal the deal. There's the first hit. Then he steps up, second ball in the 10th frame, and just like PDW style, a little magic to trip the 4-9 out and steal the victory. Then in our doubles match, again, it was Mike Fagan and Chris Loschetter taking on Pete Weber and John Zerbinski. And this was the Loesch and Fagan show. These guys kept striking and striking and striking. One after another, just beautiful shots, 10-pin parties in the pit, strike after strike, 8 in a row in all. This match wasn't even close. Fagan and Loschetter win 268 to 214. Then in our last match, you just watched the trios. Scott Norton steps up in the 10th frame. He can throw a double to put all the pressure back on Brian Kretzer in the Motown Muscle. He gets the first hit, throws a pretty nice shot right here, only to get 9. Now it's Kretzer time. Brian needs the first hit and count to seal the deal for the Muscle. Guess what? It's 10 in the pit. Brian Kretzer comes through in the clutch, and Motown Muscle wins the trios competition.
Randy, the 42 feet of oil here for the PBA League has been dyed blue, and it really gives us an unprecedented look at what previously has been unseen, and it gives you the opportunity some very deep analysis.
Yeah, the invisible beast that used to control everything and still does. It controls the scoring environment, the scoring pace. It dictates how high or how low the scores are, how many strikes the players throw. Well, nobody could see it in the past. Guess what? Now you can. You can see the oil right here. Now, look at the lane on the left before practice. Lane on the right after practice. Freeze it right there. You can see how it lightens up right there around the 3rd arrow from the right. That's where all the traffic is. Every time one of those bowling balls goes down the lane, it takes a little bit of that blue oil off with it. And you can see the lane breakdown right there. This is what the players have to stay in front of. They have to stay in front of the transition and the breakdown. The way they stay in front of that, well, let's just call it an educated guess.
Well, we've got one team game left remaining with 3 points. The winner will advance in the PBA League. New York City WTT Kingpins, Motown Muscle. Team competition, 1 game coming next.